By the time Ada turned 37, she had buried 2 engagements, 4 serious relationships, 1 almost wedding, and all her hope, and everyone around her had the same explanation for her empty ring finger. "My sister, your own is just bad luck." That was what her aunties said at weddings when the bouquet flew right over her head and into the hands of some 22-year-old girl. That was what her co-workers said when yet another man who had sworn forever suddenly vanished like airtime on a Sunday night. That was what Ada herself said many nights, lying alone on her bed in her small but neat Lagos apartment, staring at the ceiling fan turning lazily, whispering, "God, why is my luck so bad?" You see, Ada was not the type of woman people expected to be alone. She was beautiful in a soft, steady way. Steady eyes, full lips, good skin that glowed when she laughed. She was educated, had a good job in a bank, dressed well but modestly, and cooked jollof rice that could make a man forget his surname. She was not rude or harsh. She was respectful, church-going, and helpful. Yet, if you traced the map of her love life, it looked like a road full of sudden potholes and broken bridges. The first man, Tunde, had proposed at 29. They were saving for the introduction when he had a terrible accident on 3rd Mainland Bridge. He survived, but woke up with a strange, icy fear of her that he could not explain. "Anytime I think of us getting married, my heart starts beating like something is chasing me," he told her, eyes full of apology and confusion. "It's not you, I swear, but I can't do it." He ran. The second Chike loved her deeply, or so he said. They had matching Bible verses, matching Aso Ebi, even matching dreams. Yet, 2 weeks before their introduction, he woke up one morning and simply changed. No quarrel, no cheating, no big fight, just distance, coldness, and then one text. "Ada, I don't know what is wrong with me, but I feel like something is pushing me away from you. I can't explain it, but I can't marry you." The third man fell mysteriously sick after paying her bride price. The fourth lost his job and ran away in shame, leaving only a short voice note. "It's like bad things follow me when I come near you. I'm sorry." After the 5th heartbreak, Ada stopped counting. People talked behind her back. Maybe she's too choosy. Maybe she has a spiritual husband. Maybe her destiny is to be alone. In Nigeria, when people don't understand something, they give it one short name: village people. Ada herself started calling her problem bad luck because it was easier than thinking deeply. To comfort herself, she turned the whole thing into a joke. "Ah, don't come too close," she would tell colleagues playfully. "My bad luck might rub off on you." But at night, when the makeup was washed off and the jokes had finished, the truth sat on her chest like a stone. She was tired. Tired of pretend smiles at other people's weddings. Tired of dodging questions from her mother. Tired of praying, fasting, sowing seeds, and still watching every man who came close begin to fall, fail, or flee. On her 37th birthday, they organized a small surprise for her at the office. There was cake, off-key singing, and a card everyone signed with fake sentimental messages. "Your husband is coming this year," one had written with too many smiley faces. A strange sadness swept over her. That night, alone in her flat, she sat on the edge of her bed and spoke out loud, not caring anymore if heaven was listening. "Maybe it's true," she whispered. "Maybe some people are just unlucky. Maybe love is not for everyone." As she spoke, the bulb flickered lightly, once, twice, as if somebody had passed in front of it. She didn't notice. They say in Africa that when a leaf whispers, the wind already knew long before. Ada didn't know that for years. Something had been walking beside her, something no one could see, something made of words spoken in anger long ago. All she knew was that that night, after she cried herself to sleep, she had a strange dream. She saw herself as a young girl, standing in the dusty compound of her childhood village house, watching her mother argue with someone she could not see clearly. Her mother's face was wet with tears, twisted with rage. "Let any man who comes near her with love run," her dream mother screamed into the air. "Let them never settle with her. Let her feel what I feel." Thunder rolled somewhere far away. Ada woke up suddenly, heart pounding, drenched in sweat. The digital clock blinked 3:03 a.m., that lonely hour when Lagos is half asleep and spirits, if you believe in such things, are still wide awake. She sat up, breathing hard, the dream burning in her mind. "What kind of nonsense nightmare is this?" she muttered, trying to shake it off. But the words would not leave. Let any man who comes near her with love run. She tried to return to sleep, but her spirit was restless. There is a kind of dream that is not just dream. It is a knock on a door you didn't know existed. When morning finally came, bringing traffic noise and hawkers' cries, Ada felt as if she had carried something heavy all night. At work, she was unfocused. Her manager shouted at her twice. During lunch, her closest coworker, Ngozi, looked at her closely. "You're not fine," Ngozi said. "What is it? Another guy?" Ada almost lied out of habit, but instead the dream tumbled out of her mouth, word for word. When she finished, Ngozi was quiet. "My sister," she said slowly, "this is not ordinary. Have you talked to Mama about your childhood? About what happened between her and your father?" Ada frowned. "What has my father got to do with my relationships?" Ngozi shrugged. "Sometimes the past we didn't witness is still controlling the present we are living. Maybe it's time to ask old questions." That night, after pacing her living room for an hour, Ada did something she had been avoiding for years. She called her mother, who still lived in their village in Enugu State. "Mama, I'm coming this weekend," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I need to talk to you about when I was young." There was a pause on the other side of the line, a silence that stretched just a second too long. "Okay," her mother said finally. "Come." When the call ended, the bulb in the sitting room flickered again. This time Ada saw it. She frowned at the ceiling, annoyed. "Nepal people," she muttered, "always misbehaving." But somewhere behind her, just at the edge of sight, the air seemed to ripple, as though something that had been following her all these years had turned its head toward the village too. The road that led back to Ada's village was the same red, stubborn earth she had known as a child, but it felt different beneath the tires of the commercial bus as she traveled that weekend. Lagos fell behind her in a blur of noise and exhaust fumes, giving way to sleepy towns, hawkers selling boiled corn and ground nuts, and long stretches of land where goats were more common than humans. As the bus bounced along, she leaned her forehead against the dusty window and watched old memories pass like trees. Fetching water from the stream with other children, chasing after her mother's wrapper, the smell of wood fire and rain-damp soil. She had not been back for a long time, not really. Ever since she got her job in the city, her visits had reduced to occasional Christmases, or not even that. "There is nothing for me there," she had told herself. "My life is in Lagos now." But there are some questions Lagos cannot answer. When she reached the village, the familiar smell of palm oil and smoke hit her. Children ran barefoot across the compound. Old women sat on low stools cracking melon seeds, their wrappers tied high, their breasts falling comfortably into their laps. The sun poured down gently, not as harsh as in the city, filtered by tall trees that had been standing since before she was born. Her mother's house, a simple cement building with a corrugated iron roof, stood at the center. Mama came out slowly when she heard the sound of a car door. She had grown older, smaller somehow, but her eyes were still sharp. "Ada," she said, wiping her hands on her wrapper. Ada knelt briefly and hugged her. They went inside. After the initial greetings and small talk, the air settled into that thick quiet that comes when both people know a heavy conversation is coming. Ada sipped the gari her mother had prepared with cold water and milk, but the taste was dull in her mouth. Finally, she set the cup down and took a deep breath. "Mama," she began, "I had a dream." Her mother's shoulders tensed ever so slightly. Ada told her everything. The strange words, the anger in her dream mother's voice, the thunder. She spoke about her relationships, how each one had scattered for no clear reason, how men always seemed to feel something pushing them away. When she finished, the room was quiet except for the ticking of the old wall clock. Her mother stared at her hands, at the lines in her palms, as if they contained a story she didn't want to read aloud. "Mama, talk to me," Ada said softly. "What happened when I was young, between you and Papa?" At the mention of her father, her mother flinched as if bitten. "Your father?" She began, then stopped, swallowed, and tried again. "Your father was a charming man with a tongue like sweet palm wine and a heart like dry harmattan grass, quick to catch fire." She sighed, leaning back against the wooden chair. "When I married him, I thought I had entered paradise. Fine man, city man, good job. He told me I was his world. But after you were born, everything changed. He started staying out late, smelling of perfume that was not mine, coming home with lipstick on his shirt, bringing stories instead of money. When I complained, he turned it around and blamed me. You're too clingy, too jealous, too this, too that. You know the story. Ada didn't know all of it, but from her mother's trembling voice, she could taste the bitterness. One day he left and did not come back, Mama continued. We later heard he had married another woman in the city, a girl younger than me. He stopped sending money. People mocked me. They called me abandoned woman, used goods. I suffered, Ada. I suffered with you on my back. Her eyes glistened. I remember, Ada said quietly. You worked on people's farms, sold firewood, did people's laundry. Yes, Mama said, while he was somewhere enjoying life. She wiped her eyes roughly with the edge of her wrapper. I was angry, angrier than I have ever been. One day, in that anger, I did something foolish. The air tightened. What did you do? Ada asked, her heart beginning to race. Mama's voice dropped. A friend took me to one Baba in the next village, she said. They said he could tie a man, bring him back home. I went there with my pain like a calabash overflowing. The man asked me what I wanted. I told him I wanted your father to suffer, to feel what I felt. I wanted any woman he went to marry to leave him, make him feel abandoned too. He asked me if I wanted you to be part of it, as his only child. Ada's stomach clenched. What did you say? Mama's eyes filled with shame. I said yes, she whispered. In that moment of anger I said, let any man who comes near her with love run away. Let her heart break the way mine broke. Let his own seed taste this pain. The Baba smiled. He said, it is done. He gave me something to pour by a tree at midnight. I did it. When I think of it now, my whole body shakes. Her voice cracked. I did not understand what I was doing with my mouth. Silence fell thick as Gari left too long in water. Ada's ears rang with the echo of the dream. Let any man who comes near her with love run. The words she had heard in sleep were not random. They were the exact ones her mother had spoken, long ago, in a shrine under a tree while the night wind listened. Mama, she said slowly, you cursed me. Tears spilled down her mother's face. I cursed myself too, she cried, because what is a mother without joy for her child? I thought I was punishing your father, but it is you who has been suffering. Ada, I have carried this guilt like a heavy stone in my chest for years. I watched your relationships fail and I wanted to tell you, but how could I? Which mouth would I use? Ada stood up, moved away, then back again, pacing the small room as if trying to walk away from the truth. Her chest burned. So all these years I have been blaming bad luck, she said, her voice shaking. All these years people have been saying, you're village people, and it was your words, it was you. It was my anger, Mama whispered. Anger that I did not keep on a leash. Words I did not control. They say in this land that words are like seeds. When you plant them in the spirit, they must grow unless you uproot them. I planted poison, and it grew in your life. Ada sank back into her chair, trembling. She saw her life flash. Every proposal, every mysterious breakup, every man who had run as if chased by an invisible hand. Suddenly the pattern made sense in a way that hurt more than ignorance. Can it be broken? She asked, her voice small. Her mother looked at her, hope flickering like a weak candle. There is one man in this village, she said slowly. Old now, but he knows things. He is not like that Baba I went to. People say he prays, he listens, he sees. They call him Papa Anozi. If anyone can show you how to uproot what I planted, it is him. Ada hesitated. Years of church had taught her to avoid village prophets and wise men. But years of pain had taught her that some battles are older than Sunday sermons. Where does he live? She asked. Her mother pointed toward the far edge of the village, where the land sloped into trees and the air seemed to hold its breath. Behind the old Iroko tree, she said, at the place where 3 footpaths meet. But Ada... She reached out and held her daughter's hand. Whatever he says, remember this. I am sorry. I was foolish. If I could swallow those words back, I would. Forgive me. Ada looked at her mother's lined face, at the woman who had carried her, fed her, and also unknowingly chained her destiny. Her heart was a storm of anger and compassion, shock and love. I don't know how to feel yet, she said honestly, but I will go and see him. She stepped outside. The village sun hit her, warm and bright, but she felt a chill brush her skin, as if something behind her had shifted uneasily. The shadow that had been walking beside her for 37 years was listening too. Papa Anozi's compound sat at the far edge of the village, almost where the bush began to thicken into forest. His house itself was not impressive. A low mud brick building with a zinc roof patched in places, a small veranda with 2 wooden chairs, and a line of drying clothes fluttering in the breeze like surrendered flags. What made the place different was the feeling in the air, as if noise was not allowed to enter. Even the chickens scratching the dirt seemed to move more softly. When Ada arrived with her mother that afternoon, the sky was a clear blue, but something in her chest churned like a storm. They greeted politely at the gate. "Good afternoon, Papa," Mama said, bowing slightly. The old man who sat on the veranda looked up from the raffia broom he had been binding. His face was a map of wrinkles, but his eyes were sharp and clear like water drawn from a deep well. "Ngozi's daughter," he said slowly, using Ada's mother's maiden name. "You came." Ada's heart jumped. They had not told him they were coming, and yet he spoke like someone who had been expecting them. "Good afternoon, sir," Ada murmured, kneeling briefly. I wanted to see you. I need help." Papa Anozi nodded as if this was the most obvious thing in the world. He motioned to the empty chair. "Sit," he said. "The sun is hot. No need to stand in trouble and heat at the same time." They sat. For a while he said nothing, just looked at her in that searching way old people have, like they are reading pages under your skin. Ada shifted, uncomfortable, but also strangely seen. Finally he spoke. "You think you are unlucky," he said. It was not a question. Ada swallowed and nodded. "You are not unlucky," he continued. "You are followed." The words landed heavy. Ada felt goosebumps prick her arms. "Followed by what?" she whispered. Papa Anozi looked toward the big iroko tree at the edge of his compound, its branches thick with years. "In our land," he began, "there is a saying, the mouth is not just for eating, it is also for building and destroying. When people talk about curses, they imagine calabashes and red cloth, but the most powerful ones are carried by words. Your mother told you what she did?" Ada nodded, glancing at her mother, who sat with her head bowed. "She told me," Ada said. Her voice trembled. She said, things over me, that any man who comes near me with love will run." Papa nodded slowly. "Good. Secrets lose their power in the light. The day she said those words over you, she planted a shadow. That shadow is not a ghost or a demon with horns like in films. It is a spiritual law, a standing instruction in the unseen. When love comes, push it away. And for 37 years, that instruction has been obeyed." Ada felt as though the ground under the chair had become watery. "But I didn't agree to it," she protested weakly. "I was a child, I didn't even know." "Children often spend years fighting battles their parents started," Papa said calmly. "You did not agree, but you were named, you were offered in anger. The good news is this. The same way a word can plant a shadow, another word, spoken with understanding and sacrifice, can send it away." Ada leaned forward. "How?" she asked. "What must I do?" The old man studied her for a moment. "First, we must do what should have been done the first day those words were spoken. We must separate you from your mother's anger," he said. "We must return that burden to where it belongs, not on your head, but on the mistake itself. That means 2 things, repentance and renouncing. Your mother will speak, you will speak. Both of you must be honest." Mama shifted, clearing her throat. "Papa, I have been repenting in my heart for years," she said, voice breaking. "Every night I think of what I said and I beg God for mercy. I did not know." "Private tears are good," Papa said gently, "but there are some things that require public words. You used your mouth to tie your daughter's destiny in front of another man and the spirit's listening. You must now use your mouth to untie it in front of witnesses." He turned back to Ada. "Second, you too must forgive, not just in your head, in your mouth, in your heart. You must let go of the bitterness you feel toward your parents, toward men, toward yourself. Shadows feed on bitterness like mosquitoes feed on blood. If you hold on to anger, even if we chase away this shadow, another will grow in its place." The words stung because they were true. Ada had grown a hard shell over the years. She smiled, laughed, danced at parties, but deep inside she had started to believe that men were unreliable, that love was dangerous, that nothing good lasted. I don't know if I can forgive just like that, she said, tears springing to her eyes. Do you know how many times my heart has been broken? Do you know the names I have been called? I know pain, Papa said quietly. I have seen more funerals than you have seen birthdays. Forgiveness is not pretending the wound didn't happen. It is choosing not to let it become your identity. You have carried this thing for too long. If you want to be free, you must be willing to drop it, no matter how heavy it has grown. He fell silent, letting the words sink in. The breeze rustled the leaves. Somewhere a goat bleated. An old rooster scratched at the dust, unconcerned with human troubles. And third, Ada asked after a while, her voice subdued. Papa's lips curved in a small smile. Third, we must speak new words and seal them with a sign, he said. Just as your mother went to a place of darkness to speak death over your love life, you will go with her to a place of light to speak life over it. Tonight at the crossroads under that Iroko tree at midnight, we will stand and cancel what was done, not with blood or strange sacrifices, but with truth, forgiveness, and prayer. From there, we will go to the small stream behind this house at first light. Water washes. It will be a sign of new beginning. The mention of midnight under a tree made Ada shiver. Is that really necessary? She asked. Can't we just pray here in your sitting room? Papa chuckled softly. You Lagos people, he said. You think everything is Wi-Fi and remote control. Some things you must go back to the place where they started. Your mother did something at a tree and scattered your path. You will go to another tree and gather yourself back. Do you want convenience or freedom? Ada looked at her mother, whose eyes were red but determined. I will go, Mama said firmly. If I could walk into foolishness for anger, I can walk into wisdom for my child. Ada inhaled deeply, feeling fear and hope wrestling inside her. She thought of her empty birthday cakes, her unanswered prayers, the men who had turned and fled at the edge of forever. I will go too, she said, her voice steadying. No more bad luck, no more shadows. If this is what it takes to be free, I will do it. Papa nodded, satisfied. Good, he said. Then go and rest. At midnight we meet at the Iroko. Between your yes and that time, prepare your heart. Think of every man you have hated, every wound you have nursed, every name you have called yourself. Unlucky, cursed, rejected, and get ready to lay them down. A woman cannot receive new cloth with arms still full of old rags. The village at midnight is a different world. By day, children run, women chatter, and radios blare high-life tunes. By night, everything pulls back into itself. Crickets take over the choir. The moon, if it chooses to show, becomes the only streetlight. That night, as the clock in the church tower struck 12, Ada and her mother stepped out of their house wrapped in sweaters and silence, breath puffing in the cool air. The path to the big Iroko tree was narrow, lined with bushes that whispered when the wind brushed them. Above them, the sky was a bowl of darkness sprinkled with cold stars. Are you afraid? Mama asked quietly as they walked. Yes, Ada replied honestly, but I am more afraid of living the rest of my life like this. Fear has already been my roommate for too long. As they neared the tree, they saw a small lantern glow ahead. Papa Anozi was already there, sitting on a low stool under the massive branches. The Iroko loomed above them, its trunk thick, its roots like the backs of sleeping animals pushing up through the ground. This tree had heard generations of gossip, laughter, secrets, and sins. Tonight, it was about to hear something different. You came, Papa said, standing slowly, joints creaking. Good, you kept the appointment. He motioned for them to stand in front of him. The air under the tree felt heavy, like a room where someone had been crying. We will not shout, he said softly. We will not call strange names or do drama. We will do 3 things: confess, renounce, declare. Remember, the power is not in noise, but in truth. He turned to Mama first. Ngozi, he said, using her name, do you remember the words you spoke over your daughter? Tears were already streaming down her face. Yes, she whispered. Say them, he instructed. Bring them back out the way you sent them. Mama swallowed, voice shaking. I said, let any man who comes near her with love run away. Let her heart break the way mine broke. Let his seed taste this pain. The words trembled in the air like wounded birds. Ada felt each one stab her again, but this time she did not look away. Do you still agree with those words? Papa asked. No, Mama sobbed. I regret them. I regret them with everything in me. I was foolish, blinded by anger. I do not want those words to stand." "Then say so," he said gently. She lifted her hands slightly, palms open. "I, Ngozi, cancel the curse I spoke over my daughter Ada," she declared, voice growing stronger. "I withdraw those words from her life. Let any shadow walking with her because of my anger leave her now. I release her into peace and joy. Let her marry in happiness. Let love stay with her. I am sorry, my child. I am sorry." She turned to Ada, falling on her knees. "Forgive me," she cried. "If I could enter your heart and remove every scar with my hands, I would." Ada's chest heaved. This was the moment Papa had spoken of, the moment she had to choose between holding her pain like a trophy or dropping it like a stone. "Stand up, Mama," she said, voice thick. "Please, stand." Her mother rose slowly, wiping her face. Ada took her hands, trembling. "I, Ada," she began, her own tears spilling, "forgive you. I forgive you for the words you spoke, for the pain I did not understand, for the battles you dragged me into. I forgive you as my mother. I will not hold this against you anymore. I release you." As she said it, something inside her loosened, like a tight knot finally undone. For years, she had carried a secret anger at her mother, the woman who was supposed to protect her but had also, unknowingly, harmed her. Now the anger began to melt, not because the past had changed, but because she had decided it would no longer rule her future. Papa nodded, satisfied. "Good," he murmured. "Now you, Ada, must also speak concerning yourself. For years you have called yourself unlucky, rejected, cursed. Those are not small names. They are like jackets. As long as you wear them, the world will see you that way. Remove them." Ada inhaled deeply, the cold air burning her lungs. "I, Ada," she said slowly, choosing each word like a stone laid carefully, "reject the name unlucky. I am not cursed. I am not rejected. I am not a woman that men must run away from. From today, I call myself loved, chosen, and free. Any shadow following me because of spoken words, I send you away now. You have no right to stand between me and the love God has for me." As she spoke, the wind picked up, swirling around the tree, tugging at their clothes. The lantern flame flickered wildly but did not go out. For a brief second, Ada felt something icy brush past her, like a person squeezing behind her in a narrow corridor. She shivered but did not stop speaking. "My path to marriage is no longer blocked," she continued, her voice rising. "Where men used to feel fear, let them now feel peace. Where relationships used to scatter, let them now stand if they are right for me. I reclaim my heart, my future, my joy. I am not bad luck, I am blessed." The words rang out under the branches, simple but strong. Papa closed his eyes for a moment, as if listening to something beyond them, then opened them and raised his hands in a small gesture of blessing. "It is enough," he said. "The one who planted the shadow has uprooted it. The one who carried bitterness has dropped it. The mouth that cursed has now blessed. From today, that instruction in the unseen is canceled. Love can come and stay." He bent, took a small calabash from beside his stool, and poured its contents, plain water, onto the roots of the iroko. "Old things are passed away," he murmured. "Let this tree testify." Then he turned back to them. "Go and sleep," he said. "At dawn, come to the stream behind my house. We will finish there." As Ada and her mother walked back, the night felt different. The path was the same, the stars were the same, but something in the air around her was lighter, as if a heavy cloak she hadn't realized she'd been wearing had slipped from her shoulders. That night, her dreams were quiet, not empty, just peaceful. No shouting, no thunder, no fleeing men, just the sound of water flowing somewhere unseen. At first light, the sky still pale and new, they met Papa again, this time near the small stream behind his compound. The water flowed clear over smooth stones, carrying leaves and bits of light. "Water does not argue," Papa said as they stood at the bank. "It just flows and washes whatever enters. Today we use it as a sign. You will step in, speak again, and let the past go downriver." Ada slipped off her shoes and stepped into the cool water. It wrapped around her ankles, shocking but refreshing. She closed her eyes. "As this water washes over my feet," she said, "let every trace of that curse be washed from my life. Let every fearful memory of relationships gone wrong be carried away. I step into a new season." She bent, scooped some water into her hands and splashed it over her face, laughing a little at the shock. For the first time in a long time, the sound of her laughter didn't feel forced. Mama followed, doing the same, whispering her own prayer of apology and blessing. When they stepped out, toes wrinkled and skirts damp, Papa handed Ada a small, simple ring made of carved wood. "This is not for decoration," he said. "This is a reminder. Every time you look at it, remember what you said here. Remember that you are not unlucky, that your words matter. Do not return to calling yourself cursed, or you will be rebuilding what we pulled down." Ada slid the ring onto her finger. It was light, almost weightless, but the meaning of it settled heavy and sure in her heart. As they walked back to the house, village life was stirring awake, roosters crowing, smoke rising, the smell of frying akara in the distance. She felt as if she were seeing it all with new eyes. For the first time, she allowed herself to ask a question she had buried under jokes and fake acceptance. What if I am not meant to be alone? The thought did not make her scoff this time. It made her smile, small but real. Somewhere behind her, the shadow that had walked with her for decades, tried to reach for her, found nothing to hold on to, and faded like mist under the morning sun. Returning to Lagos after those days in the village felt like stepping from one world into another. But this time, Ada did not feel split between them. On the bus back, as the red earth gave way to asphalt and the thick air of the countryside thinned into city fumes, she sat straighter, hands folded over her small handbag, wooden ring warm on her finger. The skyline of the city rose ahead, bridges, buildings, billboards shouting promises they rarely kept. But she was not intimidated. "I am going back as a different woman," she thought, whether Lagos likes it or not. Back in her flat, everything was where she had left it. The pair of high heels by the door, the framed Bible verse on the wall, the half-used perfume on the dresser. Yet the space felt slightly larger, as if some invisible occupant had moved out. In the first week, nothing dramatic happened. The sky did not open. No angel knocked on her door with a husband under his arm, but small things began to shift. She noticed that when she looked in the mirror now, her first thought was no longer, "You again, unlucky one." It was, "You are not finished." At work, when her colleagues teased her about marriage, she smiled without bitterness. "It will happen at the right time," she said, words she had spoken before, but this time with a calm that came from somewhere deeper than politeness. She stopped jokingly calling herself Bad Luck Ada and quietly corrected anyone who did. "Please don't say that again," she told Ngozi one afternoon when her friend laughed and said, "Ah, you know men run from you." "That season is over." Ngozi raised her eyebrows. "See, small visit to the village and you're talking like this," she said playfully. "Did they give you husband in a calabash?" Ada laughed. "No," she said. "They gave me my name back." A few weeks later, during a training retreat organized by the bank, Ada met Emeka. It happened in the most ordinary way. He was the facilitator for a session on financial risk, tall with an easy smile, a receding hairline he joked about before anyone else could, and a voice that made even balance sheets sound interesting. After the session, they bumped into each other at the tea table. She almost spilled hot water on herself. He reached out to steady her cup. "Are you always this brave around boiling liquid?" he teased. She smiled. "Only on special occasions," she replied. They talked. First about work, then about Lagos traffic, then about village life. He was from a town not too far from hers. They laughed over similar childhood stories. Lantern light, beating by mothers who loved hard, the taste of roasted corn in rainy season. When the retreat ended, he asked casually, "Would it be all right if I texted you sometimes?" Old Ada's heart would have clenched, already rehearsing possible disasters. Instead, she felt a gentle flutter, interest without panic. "It would be all right," she said simply. They started slowly. Texts turned into calls into occasional lunches. She watched him, not with the desperate gaze of someone looking for a savior, but with the clear eyes of a woman who knew her worth and her scars. There were tests. The first came one Sunday afternoon when he called, his voice shaking. "Ada, I don't know what is wrong with me," he said. Her heart skipped. The line sounded too familiar. "I woke up today with this strange fear," he continued. Like I shouldn't come close to you. No reason. Just this heavy feeling. In the past, I would have just obeyed it and disappeared, but something told me to be honest with you first." For a moment, the old panic rose in Ada like a ghost trying to reclaim its room. "It's happening again," the old fear whispered. Run before he does. But then her fingers brushed the wooden ring. She remembered the tree, the stream, her own words. Shadows feed on fear. She took a deep breath. "Thank you for telling me," she said calmly. "I want you to do something. Don't make any decision today. Just rest, pray if you pray, and let's talk tomorrow. Fear is not always truth." On the other end of the line, he exhaled. "Okay," he said, "I can do that." That night, Ada did not cry helplessly like before. She stood in her living room and spoke out loud, voice firm. "Whatever is trying to resurrect that old pattern, you are too late," she said. "I am not under that curse anymore. My relationships will not scatter without cause. If this man is not meant for me, let it be for real reasons, not shadows." She slept peacefully. The next day Emeka called. "I feel foolish," he admitted with a laugh. "All that fear just vanished this morning. I realized I was acting like the men I used to judge, running without talking. Thank you for not letting me disappear into my own head." Ada smiled. "Thank you for coming back," she replied. Months passed. Their relationship grew, not like a sudden flame that flares and dies, but like a tree. They talked, sometimes awkwardly but honestly. One evening, as they walked by the lagoon, Emeka stopped and looked at her. "I know your story," he said softly. She stiffened slightly. "Which one?" she asked. "The gossip," he said. "The talk about engagements that broke, about men who ran. You know how people in this city talk. At first I was afraid, but then I met you and I realized something. Whatever chased those men away was not bad luck. It was clearing the ground for the right time. I'm not running." Tears prickled her eyes. "What if something still pushes you?" she whispered, voicing the last small fear hiding in a corner of her heart. He took her hands. "Then we will push back together," he replied. "I'm not a leaf. I won't be blown away easily." When he finally knelt and proposed, nothing fancy, just in her sitting room with candles and a slightly crooked cake he had tried to bake himself, Ada felt the old scripts try to play. "This is the part where something goes wrong," they hissed. But as he slid the ring onto her finger, the wooden reminder still on the other hand, she felt peace settle over her like a soft cloth. They married quietly, but joyfully, with her mother dancing the hardest, tears and sweat mixed on her cheeks. At the reception in a modest hall, an old man from the village shuffled in late, leaning on a cane, Papa Anozi. When Ada saw him, she ran and knelt, laughing. "Papa, you came!" she exclaimed. He smiled, eyes twinkling. "I came to see if bad luck truly lost your address," he teased. "It has," she replied, helping him to a seat. Later during the toast, she took the microphone and looked at the crowd. Friends, co-workers, cousins, curious neighbors who had once whispered about her curse. "Some of you know part of my story," she began. "You know how long it took for me to stand here like this. For years I thought I was just unlucky. I blamed God, men, the devil, even myself. But one day I discovered that it wasn't bad luck chasing men away. It was words. Angry words spoken over me when I was too small to understand. Those words built a shadow that walked beside me. But here's what I learned. The same way a curse can be spoken, a blessing can be spoken. The same mouth that binds can unbind. The same heart that fears can choose courage." She glanced at her mother, who nodded, tears streaming. "If you are here and you have been calling yourself names, unlucky, cursed, rejected, stop," Ada said, her voice gaining strength. "Your mouth is a workshop. Don't use it to build your own prison. Ask questions about your past, yes. Seek help, yes. But don't wear bad luck as your identity. Sometimes what you call bad luck is just a shadow waiting for you to turn and face it." The hall was quiet, listening. "Today," she finished, smiling through her tears, "I stand here not as the woman men ran from, but as the woman who learned to chase away what was chasing her. And I want you to know, bad luck has lost my address." They clapped, some shouting her name, some whispering, "Amen." In a corner of the hall, unseen by any human eye, something that had once been a thick darkness shrugged, turned, and walked away, bored. Its assignment was finished. In its place, light settled. Ordinary, everyday light, the kind that fills a home with laughter over dishes, small arguments about bills, children's cries in the night, and two people choosing each other again and again. And that, in the end, is the real magic. Not that Ada's story became a fairy tale no one ever heard of before, but that a story so familiar, pain, anger, carelessness, was interrupted by something rarer, honesty, repentance, and a woman who chose to believe she was more than the worst words ever spoken over her.